Assalamualaikum everyone. Today we'll be studying the user input and conditional statements. Okay, so first of all, we are going to start with user input. Basically, to take the input from the user, we use a built-in function, which is itself named as input, and we use those brackets where we, enter the data, the string value, which needs to be taken from the user. Then what the input function basically returns us a string value. All right, so it depends on us if we want an input in string form or in integer form. That we'll be seeing in the code window ahead how we take the input from the user. The text we enter in the input function, we use the print function in order to print that. And lastly, when you take the input from the user, it is by default in string, as I mentioned earlier. So these are a few things that you need to take note of, and it's a very easy and very small topic, that how you have to take the input from the user. Moving to the conditional statements, so there are different types of conditional statements, which we'll study one by one. But first of all, let's introduce or define what are conditional statements. So they are basically the features of the programming language, which perform different computations or actions depending on whether the given condition evaluates to be true or false. All right, so we have to see how much accurate a condition is, whether it's true, whether it's false, and accordingly these conditional statements are applied. So the three different types are the if statements, the if else statements, and the if elif statement. So if statement is very basic and very easy statement, and they basically used to run the statements conditionally, like if the condition, as the syntax explains, that if, and then we add the condition, and then there is this colon. Now this colon is part of the syntax. You need to keep in mind the syntax of the codes or of all these topics, so that when you are running them in the command window, you do not face any of the errors. So first of all, we use the keyword if, and then we introduce the condition in the curly brackets. Then we use this colon, and when we enter to the next line, there is an indentation which you can see from here. So, and then you add the conditional blocks or the conditions you need to mention. And this next one is the if else statements. So these are also very similar to the if statements, apart from the fact that they have an else condition too. So they also depend on the true false condition, and if the block will be executed, if the if block will be executed, then the condition is true. Otherwise, the else statement will be executed if it is false. So the syntax again is similar to this, but this time what you need to take care of the colon and the else statement and the indentation. So in the if else or if elif loops, what is the most important thing is the colons and the indentation. You need to keep this thing in mind. So first of all, you introduce the if word and then the condition. Next, after the colon and the indentation, you mention whatever the condition you or whatever the statement you want, and then the else statement, else a keyword is used with a colon, and then again you enter the statement block. All right, the last one we have is the if elif statement. So again, as I mentioned, it's quite similar to the if else statement. So now it is basically used for the execution of statements based on several alternatives. So there are, different options you have, but you want to, choose among them, any one among them. So you use these statements. And the order they have is the first, first you have the if and then the condition. Here I guess missed it. First you have the if, and then the condition, similar to the ones in the if statement and the if else statement. Then you have elif, and then the condition again, this colon, and then the condition for the elif statement, else, and then again statements. So, and we'll see how they, what order they follow to be printed. So let's move to the code window and see how we can, run the code. All right, so first of all, we have the user input. Basically, let me zoom this. All right. So first of all, how you take input from the user? You basically you introduce any of the variables we studied in previous lectures about the variables. You first of all introduce a variable, then you mention the type. Here we want the integer type. All right, the integer type. So you mention about the integer, then you use the input function in order to print or take the value or the thing from the user. Let's suppose here we have used that enter your age here. As I had created the variable for age, so I asked for the user to enter the age, and then it will print the age that the user has entered. Let's run this. Okay, so it says enter your age here. Let's suppose here, let's suppose it's 15, and then as I asked for the print command, it printed the age of the person, whoever you are asking the data for. So this is how the user input function works. This is the way you use it. Moving to the conditional statements, we studied about the 3 different conditional statements, and then we'll start with the first one. First of all, what we have is we have 2 different variables, x and y, because it's part of the code. So first of all, I asked for the input of the user to enter the value of x and then for the value y. Now, the if else statements are used here. Okay, so the if statement says that x is less than y. Now, this is the condition that if x is less than y, you are supposed to print what? That x is smaller than y. First of all, what we are going to do is the order of this code is, first of all, the user, whoever will be running the code, will input the 2 values, first for the x1 and then y1. Then the condition, if condition will be checked, like whether x is less than y or not. If it is less than y, then this statement right here, x is smaller than y, will be printed. Else, it will print that x is larger than y. So let's see how it's going to work. All right, so it asks for the value of x. Let's suppose I mentioned 5 here, I enter, and then it asks for the value of y. I will mention it 1 here. So you see, it says that x is larger than y. Now x is 5 and y is 1, so it says that x is larger than y. We can do another try. Let's say I take the value of x to be 2 this time and y to be 10 this time. And when I enter, it says that x is smaller than y. So you see how it works, that when the value of x is smaller, larger, it mentions that x is larger than y. This is the else condition, which we mentioned right here. Sorry. This condition right here, this else condition. Because the if condition was not satisfied, therefore it executed the else condition. That is, it is larger than y. This one, larger than y. Okay. All right. So let's now move to the if-elif statements. Okay. So here we have introduced a variable named as percentage, and we have given a specific value to it, that is 65. So whenever what do you say? Whenever we enter the code, let me erase this code so that we can only check for the execution of the first one. Okay, now here's a percentage variable, and I've fixed the value to 65. So when I run it, it simply says that good. Now, what is this good? Here are the conditions. You see that if percentage is greater than 90, it will print outstanding. If it's greater than 80, it will print excellent. Now here we've used elif statement, not else. For you use else statement only when there are two possibilities. But if there are more than two possibilities, you use elif statement. So for elif, you edit the percentage greater than 80, greater than 70, greater than 60, greater than 33, and it prints pass. Else it will print fail. So if else statements, this is how they function. Now, as I mentioned it 65 already, what if I ask the user to input the value for me? So how we are going to do this? We're going to take the integer input, um, sorry, the bracket, and then this is for the string. We're going to say that enter your percentage. Now this time we have asked the user to enter the percentage. It depends on the user what percentage he enters and which statement is taken from this. Let's suppose I enter my percentage is 85. So it will print excellent, which you can see that if it's greater than 80, then it will print excellent. Let's say I changed my percentage this time to 20. It will say fail, because the condition right here was that the percentage, if it is greater than 33, it's pass, or else it's fail. Like any percentage which is greater than 30, smaller than 33 will fall in the fail condition. Again, if I see for 30, it again tells me that it's a fail, because any percentage less than 33 will be a fail. So this is how the code works, and that is it for today's lecture. If you have any question, feel free to ask. All right, if there are no questions, that is it for today's lecture. Thank you so much for joining.